Hi guys, welcome, Scatlink here, and we are off for our next Let's Play, or more should I say, our series of Let's Plays. The entirety of the Reignited trilogy of Spyro is happening. We got the Reignited trilogy, it's day one, it's launch. I've already gone through the terms of service, for whatever reason it wants to lock you into that. And yeah, I've actually got this downloaded with all the pre-order bonus themes and all that, so we can actually talk about that once we're actually done with the entire trilogy. The old original intros, like the screens and whatnot, they're the only things that didn't really get remade, because once you press a button, you're on a file screen like this. You have 3 files like usual, but all of your data for all 3 games are tied in here, unlike in the Crash Insane trilogy where you choose your game first and then just click load and load your file that way. You choose your file and then you choose the game, and it's tied in that way. So if you want to duplicate your save, you're going to have to use a slot, but you get 3 slots per user, so that's not a problem. And since we have saved Avalar from Ripto, some time has passed, as it is now the Year of the Dragon, yes. Only one more game to go of the entire trilogy thus far. I guess, by the usual stuff, let's check the trophies. Which I do actually realise that I forgot to show off the amount of trophies on there, but we do actually have 41 trophies now. Yeah, partly like it's 2024 because that's the next actual Year of the Dragon. This remake came a little bit too late. I think it's every 12 years. Well, yeah, every 12 years from the 2000s. It's literally, yeah, because Spyro, the Year of the Dragon came out in 2000, so we missed the 2012. We've now got to wait for 2024. So it does actually make a lot of sense that that's actually the name of the trophy. That's actually really clever. But we've got 2 hidden trophies, which is actually kind of unusual considering that the other 2 games didn't have any hidden trophies whatsoever. We'll get to that at some point, but for now, I actually want to scroll down here a little bit. Sunny Villa. Defeat all coward Rhinox, Cloud Spires, glide for 5 or more seconds and land safely. Molten Crater. Unlock the locked treasure chest. I've mentioned this before during Spyro 2, and a couple of times in Spyro 1. Spyro 1 and Spyro 2's trophies don't actually specify what level you got to get the trophy in, similar to how the skill points are handled within Spyro 1 Reignited only, and all versions of Spyro 2 and all versions of Spyro 3. They don't tell you, well, they tell you where the locations of the skill points are, specifically in the Reignited version, but the trophies don't. You just have to suss it out. Like light 6 gem lamps in 15 seconds, that was in Glimmer, so that's Glimmer's trophy. But here it actually specifies, in the Year of the Dragon trophies, where you actually get those achievements. So that's actually really helpful, and by the way that we can scroll through here, I mean, kind of spoilers for the, you know, the names of the levels themselves, at least we know where they are, which is very helpful, and there seems to be 1 per level yet again, so that shouldn't be a problem for progression. Every level has a trophy. Not every level has a skill point though, even though there are 20 skill points, and they're in-game achievements. Functioning the same as they did in Spyro 1 and 2, give us access to an art gallery, which we can actually view, you know, basically the entirety of the art gallery that we've unlocked throughout the trilogy on our file select screen. Which, by the way, I want to back up just to show you this. 73%. I haven't actually gone back to check this since. Yeah, 73%, and the total playtime across all 3 games. That's actually pretty clever, but as I keep on saying, I treat it as 337% by, you know, 120, 100, 117%. This is going to be 117% walkthrough. So, yeah, that's how that works. Anyway, enough babbling at the beginning. I think it's time to actually hop in and begin our 3rd and final adventure in the trilogy, where an evil plot unfolds. Now, this is the game I've actually played the most of in the trilogy, just saying it right now, so, well, other than Spyro 2, I did say I played Spyro 2 a lot more, but when it comes to Spyro 3, I've actually played that a lot more, because that's the one I actually grew up with, so, even though it has been quite a while since I last played it myself. There are eggs everywhere. Who's this lady? These rhinos, they're stealing the eggs! How did she not notice that one? She was standing right next to it. Fun fact, in the original they actually were white, but now they're pink just like how they appeared in the first game.
What? Huh? Get her! Stop her!
Yes, just scream and point. That was the best thing to do when you're big. Because then that happens. Well, the more powerful and supposed to be more responsible dragons did bugger all.
We managed to capture the eggs, Your Highness. Every last one.
Excellent. Maybe you will amount to something after all. Now go guard the tunnels. Stop anyone from coming through.
Well, that crocodilian thing looked quite charismatic. And a lot slimmer than she used to look like in the original, which actually attributes to her redesign, which I approve. Also, that bunny. Get to her later.
Where are the eggs?
The holes came out on the other side of the dragon worlds. We found some of the eggs, but they were too heavy to carry back.
The other side of the world?
The Forgotten Realms. Spyro, you'll have to go. Nobody else can fit down the holes.
Yeah, come on, let's go!
Yeah, but can't Zoe just magic the eggs like how we collect everything else? Well done, Hunter. That face.
Find the eggs and bring them back, Spyro. You're our only chance.
You got it!
And we head bash our way into the world and it loaded immediately. Wow, okay, that's interesting. Wasn't actually expecting that. Also, music's kind of building up. And there we are, the music's finally started. Yeah, it has a bit of a build-up in this version of the game, but in the original, it just kind of starts straight in. The instrumentation's a little bit different. In fact, this will be the one of the few times I will actually go to options, and then go to sound, and choose the original music. Because it actually sounds a lot better. That's actually a thing I want to talk about before I get too far into this right now. It's been a common thing with Spyro 3 having the least favoritism when it comes to the Reignited soundtrack, and people lean to the original soundtrack more, but I tend to, well, I want to have the Reignited version on so that you hear it for the majority of the Let's Play, because obviously these are the remade versions. I would have that, because I normally tend to use the original soundtracks for the end card anyway, so that's just how I want to go about things. But before we go any further, we need to talk about the controls. They're the same as pretty much they are in Spyro 1 and Spyro 2, but in case you haven't watched any of those Let's Plays, I'll give it a quick rundown right now. They're pretty much exactly the same as they are on the PS1 if you're playing on the PS4. Obviously change the face button equivalent, or the trigger button equivalent, and the bumper to the L1, L2 equivalents, because well, I'm not playing on an Xbox One, I'm playing on the PS4, because you've already seen, I've got trophies, not achievements. So yeah, couple of things to mention. You can actually use the R2 button to use your flame, instead of just pressing circle all the time. Square's the same, it's charging, turning, and moving around a lot tighter, more fluent, a lot more easier to control, and there's also a lot more free-flowing, keeps the pace, pretty cool. There's only one thing that I don't like about the mechanics though, where if we like press X to jump and double jump to glide, and then press triangle to hover, and then again to ground pound. You can do that whenever you just hover a normal jump or a double jump. That's the thing. But the thing I want to talk about when it comes to charging, flying, and swimming, because you can swim as well, but not in this water apparently, is momentum-based physics. I'm not a fan. If you've seen my Spyro 2 Let's Play, which was the one right before this, you know all about my feelings of, you know, the momentum-based physics. There's a one-up right here. Yeah, I'm kind of like playing the game and talking about the controls at the same time, but I'm going to get to that in just a moment, because if you click in the left analog stick, sparks will point to nearby gems. That's really helpful. There's a thing about that, though. in the original Spyro 3, that was unlockable even though it was unlocked from the get-go in Spyro 2. It became an unlockable ability in Spyro 3, so somehow Sparks couldn't do it, but then you relearn it somehow. I don't know why that's a thing, but that was actually a thing. Also, immediately right now, what I want to say is that if you notice by it says on the bottom of the screen down here where we got into the guidebook, or it was called the World Atlas in the original, it says continue. If we choose a world that we're not in, it will actually say warp or select, and that pretty much allows you to go to any world in the Atlas. That was also an unlockable ability that was introduced in Spyro 3's original release, but as a quality of life change for the entirety of the trilogy, not only is that feature unlocked from the get-go, but it's also available in all 3 games because we've already used it before. Anyway, just to summarise the rest of the controls, we're going to go to this. Basically, this is what the controls are. Triangle was basically look, or the action button when they refer to it as the action button. Square is charge. Circle, or the right trigger in this case, R2, is the flame. But notice that we've actually got roll, right, and left. They were only available in the original Spyro 1. For the Reignited trilogy, you can now use the side rolls whenever you want in any of the games, and it was actually quite helpful in a couple of boss fights in the in Spyro 2 Reignited. So that's actually a nice little thing that was added because we don't have to turn the camera with L2 and R2 anymore. You can now use the right analog stick to do that, and you have full range of movement, which is also another quality of life change that is just, you know, with the times of games these days. But yeah, we got the roll, which is pretty cool, and that could actually be helpful in certain boss fights, considering that weren't available before, where what you would have to do in the original is just charge and, you know, just avoid stuff like that. You got usual camera controls. Like I said, you can swap the original the Reignited soundtrack for the original soundtrack. Yeah, I wanted to go to controls again. So one more look at that. There are the retro controls as well, which pretty much have the camera controls restored to R2 and L2, or the triggers of an Xbox One controller. But yeah, point to treasure is still L3 because I don't know why you can't hold all of the shoulder buttons to do that, but I guess that's because of the roll left and right that would conflict. And remember, it wasn't in Spyro. Yeah, it wasn't in the first Spyro game. So the point to treasure. So if we go here, we actually have loads of controls for us, including Sparks, which allows us to point to treasure. It says toggle character. That is a bit of a spoiler, actually, to be perfectly honest, but we'll obviously cover that later. So yeah, these are all the controls that we need to worry about for now, other than skating and submarine. Ignore those for now. Everything else we have available to us. So super shot, which is a holding projectile, and then circle. Head bash, hover, glide, jump, charge attack, flame attack, movement, all that sort of stuff, including the roll. Pretty much just a quick lowdown on all the abilities, but with flying, we also have loop same facing, which is basically a somersault, and a loop opposite facing, which is a U-turn. We can use those in flights, which I don't think were in the originals at all, and is a Reignited only thing, and they are actually used in Spyro 1 for a trophy, but they actually do help to, you know, give you a little bit more control and do stuff considering the momentum-based physics. That's actually kind of helpful, but I tend to not use them because I forget they're there, because, you know, I don't exactly... We didn't have them to begin with, so why would I use them? Finally, got to go back to the guidebook here. We have 15,000 gems to find across the entire game. Doesn't exactly tell us how many eggs there are, so that's a thing. But we are going to get every egg because we're going for 117%, so that means we're going to get something over the maximum. We'll have to find out as we go. And yeah, that's it really. There's 5 eggs in Sunrise Spring, 400 gems. Let's go! So, another quality of life change which is available in the, which first appeared in Spyro 2, but you had to turn it on in the options, but you had to actually unlock it again in this version, is that, well, in the original Spyro 3 anyway, is that, you know, you didn't have a map. The map's been added to all 3, and all you have to do is toggle it on in the menu in order to turn it on. I have it toggled on for the sake of, you know, having a full HUD and whatnot, because I like showing everything off. I tend to not use it often, but I have been recently in Spyro 2.
Hi, Spyro. To look left or right, use the right stick. To quickly center the camera behind you, tap the center camera button. You can also look all around by pressing the action button.
Thank you for the tutorials yet again. So yeah, the game will obviously give you your usual tutorials when you're going through the game, unless I didn't cover them, but it would be nice to have a check if you've played any of the other games of the trilogy first, just saying, but, you know, being true to the original. And she had very unique movements right there. She was actually pointing at the directions when she was mentioning the directions, in our perspective, not hers. That is very clever. Something, like, way above the standard of what we had before. Because, if I haven't mentioned it many a time, the graphics and, you know, just the visual style of the remake of any of the Spyro games, it's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Oh, cutscene. I was trying to get the gem behind the gate.
So, you're the one in charge of rescuing the eggs, huh? How sad. Look here, Dragon. If you know what's good for you, you'll turn around and crawl back into that hole you came through. Those eggs belong to us now, and I've hidden them in places you'll never find in 1,000 years. Besides, even if you could find any eggs, our expertly trained armies would hunt you down and take them back. Do I make myself clear? If I find you here again, I am going to be very angry, and you won't like me when I'm angry.
1,000 years, eh? Then what's that over there? I wouldn't find in 1,000 years. I don't know what you're on about. I see no army. There's no enemies in this hub world. Yeah, I don't think you did a very good job hiding the eggs. And you didn't block up the hole either. Even though, you know, we started all the way up here. And throughout my entire spouting of the tutorials and how to play the game and whatnot, there's no hole here. Inconsistencies. And terrible at your job. That was Bianca. She's one of the new characters of Spyro 3. She's basically your main antagonist other than that lizard crocodilian thing that we saw that was ordering her around, that apparently she's working for. Interesting. I will talk about her design, that bunny's design. Well, she was actually a fan favourite in the original, but in this version her design is actually quite, it's like one of the best redesigns of the entire series, to be perfectly honest. Which is actually kind of funny because, well, we're actually right next to another redesign that wasn't exactly taken very well. But I don't have a problem with it, to be perfectly honest. Maybe it's because of the original design of the character that we're right next to. Not that guy up there. He was in Spyro 2. I'm talking about Spyro 3 in particular, which is over there. Which we'll go deal with later because I'm grabbing gems right now while talking. Is that I don't have a problem with it, even though I know that the original model was obviously quite beloved and nostalgic, and I do kind of prefer it for its like original design and whatnot, just because I'm used to it. But I don't actually have a problem with the Reignited design, even though it's starkly different. Right, I think I've gone a little bit further on now. I am going to come back on myself. I don't want to get into cutscenes while I'm talking about stuff. That's the problem. We gotta go up here anyway.
Yo, Spyro! I just found one of those portal thing in the jigs that leads to a different world, but you'll have to glide to get across to it. Press the jump button, then press jump again while you're in the air to glide. Just follow me.
Thank you, Hunter! He was introduced in the second game that we've gone through. I know it sounds a bit redundant if I'm talking about stuff that we've already met in the previous game, if you guys have come straight off of that. But, you know, for those people who haven't actually played Spyro 2 or didn't care for Spyro 2 and grew up with Spyro 3 and that's the only one they played, yeah, he was introduced in Spyro 2, but in the remakes, he sounds more like a surfer dude than, you know, just a cowardly, soft-spoken buddy with a little bit of snark to him.
I saw something shiny in that cave over there. Let's go check it out. You can get there by hovering. To hover, just press the action button at the end of your glide.
Yeah, he knows how we do our glides. It's never explained on how that actually, like, equals up. Even in the original of Spyro 2, it's like, they didn't even know about dragons, and then, like, all of a sudden, he's like, yeah, how about you do this? Why are you not making the jump?
To get the best glide distance, press the jump button while walking forward. Then press it again at the top of your jump. Finally, press the action button just before you get to the landing to hover.
I forgot they actually says something if you fail, and that was actually more detailed. Funny that. I didn't mean to fail, I just pressed the button too early.
Oh, I almost forgot. I found this egg.
Oh, thanks. You're supposed to be helping us get eggs, and yet you don't show me until I do a tutorial. It's just a reward for, you know, nailing down the controls. In gameplay, it makes sense, but in terms of the story, he's supposed to be helping us. Because, you know, he's slim and athletic, and that's his shtick, and, you know, that's why he's able to follow us. But again, we grabbed an egg, and Zoe was able to teleport it away in the animation that we grab eggs. Why were they too heavy for you to bring back? It's just an excuse for us to get out, isn't it? It's not like we just, you know, saved Avalar or something.
This is a Superfly power-up, Spyro. Whenever you walk through any power-up that looks like this one, it will allow you to fly for a while.
Yeah, so instead of gliding, we'll just be having a time limit where we have unlimited flight. Now, here's the thing. In Spyro 2, these power-up gates were locked by enemy kills. You had to kill enough enemies in order to actually, you know, get them unlocked. But in this case, they're unlocked from the get-go. All you got to do is reach it and you get the power-up. And they're normally used in specific situations, and in Spyro 2, that was the same thing, only that they had a kill quota. Enemies didn't drop gems in Spyro 2, but they did in Spyro 1. They've gone back to that, which, by the way, we're supposed to be in the Forgotten Realms of the Dragon Realms. We're not in Avalar, but we're still grabbing the Avalar gems, because the gems look different in comparison to Spyro 1, which even in the remake, they do actually keep the unique designs of the gems in each game. So, that's not exactly explained. But maybe it's because the Forgotten Realms are actually quite close to Avalar, and the Forgotten Realms just happen to be in between the Dragon Realms we're used to, and, you know, Avalar's on the far side, and this just happens to be in the middle. Just close to the Dragon Realms, because they are the Dragon Realms, but it's more in terms of Avalar, because they have the same gems. Plus, Moneybags is here. He appeared in the second game, and he's here now, and there was no way he would be following us, because he's from Avalar. Same with Hunter, but Hunter hangs around with Spyro a lot more, so it makes a little bit more sense in that respect. I'm just making sure I haven't missed anything, because there's been a few issues with the Reignited trilogy that once they start cropping up, I will be mentioning them. I'll just be saying that I have been having a few issues that I never bumped into in the original trilogy on PS1. I've never played the Reignited, well, any of the Spyro games via the PSN downloads, but I know that, funnily enough, Year of the Dragon, actually, that's actually something I can talk about. The music for this area in the original release of Spyro Year of the Dragon, it had its soundtrack completely messed up and bugged, and I don't know why. Even some, like, tunes were unfinished. Apparently the game was rushed to hell, just like Spyro 2, but despite, it still had good quality, but Spyro 3 pretty much had the more rough time, mainly because that the final boss theme played in this area. Yeah, you could imagine that when you booted up the game, that was a bit weird. How did that get past testing? I have no bloody idea. But the Platinum version, or if you're in America, the green labelled Greatest Hits version, has the fixed soundtrack, and that's what the Reignited version uses, thankfully, so you haven't got to worry about any of that jankiness.
Your game camera is currently in passive mode. This mode requires you to manually control the camera. If you like, I can change the game camera to active mode. In active mode, the camera adjusts itself based on your movement.
Except for when you're starting off a glide or when you're charging. I'll mention that right now. I do not want to change it because I'm used to having it on passive.
Okay, I won't change it.
In the originals, I actually prefer having it on the other mode, but in this case, no. By the way, this is fodder. Basically, any little, like, animals that are pretty much your size or smaller, you can flame, and they'll spit out a butterfly. That's basically how you recover. I haven't actually talked about Sparks yet. He's your treasure magnet. He can grab gems, as you've been seeing so far, and he also acts as your health meter. Yellow is 3 hits, blue is 2 hits, green is 1 hit. When he's gone, 1 more hit and it will kill you.
I'm late for a dinner party at the Tiki Lodge, and the portal to my home just stopped working. Maybe the portal will reactivate after a few more dragons hatch.
I like the dude's new voice. These guys actually used to sound... I'm late for a dinner party at the Tiki Lodge. But this actually works quite well as well. I mean, to be honest, in hindsight, they kind of sound like what people do for Pyrus' voice from Undertale. Just realised that. And he just became Stone. Don't get Stone, boy. That's kind of funny. But yeah, so Sparks is pretty much your energy bar for that, so keep him around whenever possible. He's your health bar, and he also helps you grab gems as you're walking around. Blue butterflies, which we grabbed at that jar early on at the beginning of this area. That was a 1-up, which also counts as a full health if Sparks is weak.
I see an egg at the bottom of this lake. I would go get it, but I don't want to get my fur all wet. maybe you could get it. You can dive underwater by pressing the charge button when you're on the surface, and charge underwater by holding down charge as well.
You weren't exactly looking at me there, Hunter. Are you alright? Maybe he's a little bit worried or something's caught his eye. Well, maybe he's watching over Zoe, who knows. But understandable, you don't want to get your fur wet. It takes a while to dry. We got scales, so it just rinses right off us. Plus, we can breathe indefinite amount. And I was trying to turn there, but I still kept going in the same direction. That's the momentum-based physics right there. You have a bit of drift. In the original, it was quite tight on controlling underwater, but in this case, as you can see, I'm bouncing all over the place when I'm trying to turn sharply, but I just keep drifting. If you want to move normally, as he said, hold the X button, which is your jump button. If you want to move fast, charge. I tend to charge anyway, because it's just faster movement. But in the Reignited version, if you want tighter controls, you probably want to move slower. The controls are tight when you're not moving faster than normal. When you use any mode of faster travel, being charging, swimming while charging while swimming, and flying, that's when the momentum-based physics rear its ugly head and it causes problems. I was just grabbing the gems before I actually grabbed the eggs. Every egg is uniquely named, by the way. And most of them have unique animations, but not all the time. Which we actually have all the eggs in here already. Kind of funny, that. So, oh, and by the way, your flame does not work underwater. You just spit a couple of bubbles and that's it. So, keep that in mind. Also, as you've already probably noticed, some portals to some levels are actually locked off by eggs, and that's going to be a running thing throughout the entirety of Spyro 3.
Here I was, about to go for a nice swim at Shell Beach, when my portal just up and disappears right in front of me. If you go find some more of those dragon eggs, I bet this portal would start working again.
Well, you could have grabbed the one underneath the water and helped me out. Just saying. I mean, that would have also helped you out. You would have been one egg closer. Why do you need dragon eggs to get through the portal anyway? That hasn't been explained. Why did the portal just shut down? What's going on in the Forgotten Realms? Is it just because they're forgotten that's causing problems? Probably not. I mean, this place has been going on for God knows how long. Who knows how long the dragons have actually been gone? Spyro got a special text for Sparks. Meet me back here later. Zoe. And yes, it is Zoe, not Zoe with a silent E. So, just thought I would say that. Yeah, our checkpoint, which is Zoe, the little fairy, every time she zaps us, that's a checkpoint. She just hasn't said that yet, even though she has been zapping us. We've got a balloon here, but it's out of reach, and we can't get it. And that's actually something I need to talk about as well. Remember the Superfly power-up that we just found? They're mostly reserved for small areas. If you go beyond the area that they're used for, it'll either decrease very quickly or just upright end. So keep that in mind, they're not abusable, they're only useful in some areas. And if you've actually come off of Spyro 2, you might be wondering why do we not have a permanent Super Flame. It's exclusive to Spyro 2 only, and it's only a completion bonus, it doesn't carry to any of the other games because, well, I guess if it in the originals, if it detected like a 100% completed Spyro 2 file, it could have done that, and even if not, they could have easily done it for Spyro 3 Reignited, because the entirety of all 3 games via save files are rolled into one big save file, so it could have detected, oh, you have 100% and you've activated the permanent Super Flame, you can use it in all the other games. But no, that's because the Super Flame actually works differently in Spyro 1, so that can't happen. I'm missing a couple of gems somewhere. Where am I missing them? Somewhere back here. I had a feeling. It's probably because it's over here, isn't it? Yeah, because I don't want to go over here unless needed. We came out there, and those are the last 2 gems. That was actually quite perfect, because I wanted to come back here and talk to this guy.
Spyro! My, how funny to see you here. Why, I haven't seen you since we defeated Ripto in Avalar.
We?
Well, my business went into a slump after you left, so I came here and struck up a nice deal with the local sorceress. Lovely woman she is. Seems to be very fond of dragons, too.
I'm guessing the crocodilian lady that we saw in the intro is the sorceress. I mean, makes sense, because she stole the dragon eggs, and if she's fond of dragons, that might be why. She's probably stolen all the dragon eggs to have herself a zoo. Why are you working for the villain? You just said that you don't like we defected Ripto in Avalar. Excuse me, I did all the work and you got sparted.
I was a champion bantamweight boxer at university, and I still know a few moves. Take that! And that!
This is Sparta!
So yeah, don't know what you're on about.
I'm getting paid a fortune to keep Sheila the kangaroo locked up. Ha ha! This pesky animal must have been causing a lot of trouble for that poor sorceress. I suppose I could accidentally let the kangaroo escape, if you were to pay me, say, a small fee.
As he points to his bag, being very subtle. Yeah, you do know that you're basically keeping someone in prison, and considering that animals like yourself being a bear is sentient, this is outright bribery and slavery. I basically got to pay her bail. And it's 300 gems! That's why I wanted to complete this hub world before going into any worlds. I want to get this done first. We're skipping the first level, funnily enough.
Ah, Spyro, I love your sweet naivete. Your kind-hearted nature might be your downfall someday, but for the time being, it's making me rich.
Moneybags is a greedy whore. Get used to this guy. We've already paid him a bunch, and even though we got all of our money back from him at the end of Spyro 2, we're paying him again, and this is probably his payback. He's now teaming up with the villain, so that doesn't happen again. By the way, we just got a trophy, but it didn't actually have a name in it. Notice that hidden trophy is now gone. The hidden trophies are to stop you from actually knowing that you're going to unlock other characters. Sunrise Spring, free Sheila the kangaroo. What do I mean by that? Well, let's get into that.
I hope you appreciate this favor I'm doing in letting you out.
That's good of you, mate. No hard feelings, eh?
Right. After all, I'm just doing my job.
Yeah.
Damn!
I reckon you be one of them dragons then.
Yeah, name's Spyro.
Never thought I'd see one. You dragons used to rule this entire world, you know? Then all of a sudden you left. Poof!
Dragons used to live here?
Didn't you know? They say it was over 1,000 years ago, I think.
And they just left?
Yeah, and the weird thing is, after they left, all the magic in the world just sort of went with them. I mean, they say this world used to have magic coming out of the wazoo. Flying ships, singing forests, wishing stones, you name it. But when the dragons left, it all just dried up.
Is that why some of the portals don't work?
Yeah, they're starting to fade out too, one by one. Well, I gotta get back home and do some damage control. Come visit anytime you like.
As I said, I do not have a problem with Sheila's new design. And she's just given us a bunch of exposition, which is also the reason why I wanted to do this first. Even though Sunny Villa and as well as that portal up there, Cloud Spires, were active portals, I wanted to skip them so that we could pay her bail and, you know, as I said, unlock a new character. Because this sign, if we went to Sunny Villa earlier, you would have actually seen a door with this sign. I'm saying that now because you probably would have done Sunny Villa first if you haven't already seen this before, and even if so, that is normally the first level you would go through anyway. And in some cases, I do like to actually do the hub worlds as I go, but in this game, most of the time I like to get the hub worlds done first, mainly because, as I said, to pay the character's bail. That's going to be a running thing. Yeah, all the portals don't work because, the magic's been drying up over the past 1,000 years when dragons kind of migrated to the far side, where we went through in Spyro 1, and now we've come to the Forgotten Realms. They've been forgotten by the dragons, and yeah, well, the magic's been dried up. I'm guessing dragons just emit magic. But yeah, we have a trophy in our pockets. I think the last thing I wanted to talk about before we actually end off is that if we go to the Atlas, or the iBook again, I'm going to call it the guidebook from now on, we can actually view the skill points. Now, in the original, you wouldn't be able to actually know what the skill points are until you actually get them, but there are 2 in Sunny Villa. There is actually none for Sheila's level, so we won't have to worry about that for now, which is why I want to talk about this right before I end off. Of course, in the original, you would unlock a epilogue to the book once you complete them all, or complete half a page and you unlock half of it. There is no epilogue for the remakes, but there is an art gallery, which, in my opinion, is a lot better because instead of models being placed here and there and everywhere in like a little clip show kind of thing, in a slideshow, we actually have concept art as well as, you know, remade box art. So we'll be covering that at some point. We've got 2 pages to do, 10 each on each page. That's 20 skill points. We're going to have to do them as we go. But I think that's it. So next time on Spyro Year of the Dragon, we'll go to Sheila's Alp. See you guys then.